Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is a trainer education, and the title is Be Open-Minded. So there's a quote that we'll start with, and it says, "Something that you believe to be true today will be proven wrong tomorrow." So, as a trainer, we all have opinions, beliefs of what we think is right and what we think everybody should do given whatever their goals are. So when a client comes to you and asks you, like they just say like, hey, this is what I want to achieve, and then you're going to have an opinion of what they should do to achieve that. Now, your opinion hopefully is based off of experiential truths. So things that you believe to be true because you've seen them happen firsthand, you've had experience with them, you know how to manipulate the elements. So hopefully your opinion is like fact-based, not, oh, I read this in an article, and then you just assume that that article is true. Okay? So some things that I've done in the past that turned out to be, well, here, I'll give you like pros and cons. So back whenever, like earlier in my career as a personal trainer, fasted cardio was touted as like the greatest way to lose body fat. So you're supposed to wake up early, go do steady state cardio without any food. You can drink water to stay hydrated, of course, but you shouldn't have any food. And you should just do fasted cardio, like do steady state cardio, maybe some light HIIT cardio, but they recommended not to do too much high intensity interval training cardio, which is what HIIT is. So we do intervals. They recommended not doing intervals because they said that might promote muscle breakdown. So the general first recommendation that everybody learned, well, at least by the time I heard of it, was wake up, drink water, do steady state cardio. So that was the goal. Now, did that make the weight on your body weight go down on a scale? Yes, it did. But what they found was, man, I lost, as people experience, like I lost 20 pounds, but I don't really look any better. And what that means is it's kind of like they still were kind of soft. They still had, they didn't really have any more muscle definition than they started out with, but they were just lighter on a scale. So then people were like, oh, maybe that's causing muscle damage. So maybe you're losing muscle at the same rate you're losing fat. Or at least you're losing some muscle as you're losing fat. So maybe we shouldn't do it totally fasted. Maybe you should have protein. So then the recommendation became you can have up to 20 grams of protein, and it should just be like a whey isolate. It shouldn't have any other carbs or fats with it. So you should pay a bajillion dollars an ounce of whey isolate protein. You would have that. And then that was supposed to, the amino acids of the protein were supposed to, quote unquote, protect your muscle. Well, that they found that kind of sort of worked better, but not really. So then, the recommendations started getting a little bit crazier. And it turned out that it just turned out to be a really inefficient, shitty way to lose body fat because you lost a lot of muscle. So you would lose weight on a scale. So if somebody had a medical condition in which they needed to lose weight for medical reasons, and they didn't care if it was muscle or fat, fasted cardio is fantastic at that. So it's very good at ripping your body apart. So what are you doing? You're using the machine of your body without giving it any fuel. That's going to cause it to tear down. Okay? Use your car without paying any attention to maintaining it. It's going to tear down, right? So that was the same thing people were doing. Now, whenever it wasn't a medical condition, and people wanted to look freaking amazing, some of the caveats and the confusion over it was some of the people who were promoting this as the best thing ever to do were taking steroids. They were taking testosterone. So external sources of testosterone. So they had a lot of protection hormonally against muscle loss. So sure, it made them look freaking ripped, and they didn't lose a lot of muscle because they were chemically enhanced. But when natural people did it, we would lose some muscle as well, and it never seemed to look better. So fasted cardio turned out to be a thing that was everybody said it was the greatest thing in the world, turned out to be absolutely stupid and a complete waste of time unless you're on drugs. But over 12 to 14 years later, I still see people promoting that, which is absolutely insane and ridiculous. And it's frustrating as hell because whoever promotes that, if they were to just do it themselves, so go ahead and do fasted cardio for a month and tell me if you look any better. As soon as you do that for a month, you'll stop recommending it to your clients because you look like shit, you feel like shit, nothing will go well. So you're going to say, oh man, that doesn't seem to be good. So-and-so on YouTube, Mr. Fancy Pants or Mrs. Fancy Pants, who sells programming, says it's the greatest thing in the world, but I tried it, it didn't work. I tried it with my clients, it didn't work. So that's the goal, is you have to put the quote-unquote knowledge, which is actually just information. So just the information you see and hear in articles and YouTube and stuff, you have to actually apply it and analyze it for it to become knowledge. So just because you read an article doesn't mean you know that that is true. It just means you've been presented a viewpoint, but you don't have a clue if it's true or not. So you have to apply it and analyze it before you actually know something to be true. So that was one example where before even like the science came out to support that it was stupid, I gave up on it because I tried it with myself and I recommended it to some of my bodybuilder, more aesthetic-based clients, because it did seem to be the cool thing. So I was like, hey, I just started this. If you want to start it too, let's all see what goes on. And quickly, within a month or two, we were all like, yeah, that's pretty stupid. That was a waste of time. And we quit doing it. Now, something that I didn't know, another kind of mistake I made, was when I first opened the gym, what was kind of bodybuilder information before lower body was to warm up your knees. So you would jump on leg extension and leg curl. And you would do really light weights, sets of like 20 or something, just get blood flow through the knee. And that was supposed to help, like then when a client would go into squatting or deadlifting or lunges or leg press or whatever, that they would have, like they would be able to move better. Well, I did that, and clients would they would report no knee pain, but they still would take a lot of warm-up sets to get into like our working movements, especially if we were doing squats. And I never really kind of put two and two together until Mark Bell of howmuchyoubench.net, he is Super Training 06 on YouTube, he came out with a product called a hip circle, which is like a kind of a cottony type material of a circle, like a band you put around your knees, and it's pretty tight, so you have to kind of like do side steps or a side shuffle, and that stretches into the band. Well, what that did was that warmed up the hips. And what I found out was when I started having clients warm up their hips, oh man, that made things way better. They didn't need as many warm-up sets. Their lower back reported like feeling better. They didn't feel a strain in their lower back. Their knees actually warmed up pretty much the same speed, because doing a hip circle, you still have to have like knees bent, and you still do some things like marches and glute kickbacks and whatnot. But it turned out that here I had been having clients do leg extensions and leg curls to warm up for lower body, and that was an incomplete, insufficient warm-up. Here, it was supposed to be the best thing. I was telling them all it was the right thing to do, and it turns out that there was something better. So I was open-minded to it enough to where as soon as I saw what the hip circle was, I was like, this sounds like a pretty cool idea. I'm going to buy like 10 of them. So I bought every size Mark made at first and tried them all out, learned how to do them, had clients doing a whole bunch of weird exercises with them, really got to experiment with them, and everyone loved it. That turned out to be just an overall way, way, way better way to warm people up. So it was the idea of being open-minded, and that's what I want to get across in this podcast is I had thought leg extensions and leg curls were adequate and they were correct. But I was presented something new, hip circle. And instead of saying, nope, I don't want that, I know what I know, and I know what I know is right, I looked at it and I was like, hell, might as well try it. So maybe it'll turn out to be stupid, maybe it'll turn out to be the best thing in the world. But I won't know until I try it. So if I just assume things are wrong, I am wrong. Not the thing, I am wrong. So it's better to be proven wrong than to just assume it and miss out on something. So that was what we kind of get across in this podcast, is to be open-minded. And this actually still happens to this day. So I have young trainers or beginner trainers I work with all the time, consultations and in person and stuff, so whether it's online or in person. And sometimes they kind of get embarrassed to mention that they make mistakes. And I've been personal training for 17 years, and I'm the one they're like asking for advice, so I'm the one giving the consultation. So often they'll think that like I don't ever mess things up, or like they're embarrassed to mess something up in front of me. I'm an idiot every day, and I still make mistakes every day. I still learn things every day. So never, ever, ever be ashamed or afraid of admitting that you're still learning. You should be learning till the day you die. Okay? So it's never a bad thing to make mistakes. It means you're trying shit. So the person who never makes a mistake means they're not trying anything. They're not growing, they're not improving. You never want to be that person. You never want to be someone who never makes mistakes, because that means you don't learn things, you don't take risks, you don't try things. Okay, so just the other day I made a podcast on how to help prevent lower back pain in squats and deadlifts. And one of the clients I work with, he's a physical therapist, and he's putting on a clinic for lower back health for general kind of population at a commercial gym. And he said he was listening to that podcast for just gathering some information amongst other resources. And he sent me a message saying, not that he disagreed, he worded it very well, so I'm going to paraphrase. So don't, if you're the person who sent this message, don't worry. But basically the phrasing is, I don't know if what you said was correct. And he wrote it really nicely and even said, like, I don't mean to offend you and blah, 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 blah. And I wrote him back and I was like, no, that's freaking awesome. Like, I love the fact you sent me a message. Like, that I love to hear when somebody has a different opinion. It doesn't mean that I'm wrong, they're wrong. It's not a matter of who's wrong or right. It's just, hey, you had an opinion and a viewpoint. Here's another opinion and a viewpoint. Let's see what's common. Let's see what's different. Let's work through this. So they gave me their viewpoint of what I had said about, and it was about like limb lengths. So like what the effects of a short versus long torso was compared to a short versus long femur when you're doing squats and deadlifts. And as it turns out in that podcast, thankfully from this person giving me that feedback, I kind of thought back through the process of how I was making that podcast, and I realized that I had, in the process of trying to simplify it, I missed some good details, and I maybe oversimplified things, and or just kind of didn't get my wording as concise as I could have been. So through their feedback and through my like kind of retrospective thinking, if I got to make that podcast again, I would make it differently. And there were some things that, like I maybe didn't emphasize something as much as I should have. I overplayed the role of something else. But it was really, really cool for me to get to see another viewpoint and somebody who, like, obviously was approaching it with kindness and love in the sense that they cared enough about me, they loved me enough to not let me stay an idiot. So they wanted to make sure, kind of like almost like double check their knowledge too, but then just kind of check in and see what the differences were. So we came to a consensus, and we were both kind of right in a sense because we're talking about the same stuff and we both know our things. We just maybe would have worded it differently or came at it in a slightly different viewpoint. But I think it was awesome to get feedback on it. And I wanted to share that because it even happens to this day that as I'm trying to make these podcasts for everybody, I'm doing my best to try to take very complex things and shorten them into kind of bite-sized pieces. Now, not everybody gets to see what I'm shortening from. So you guys get the 20-minute podcast, sometimes 30 minutes, and you don't know that maybe I've taken 2 days worth of information and tried to put it into 20 minutes. So we don't know where I've whittled it down from. But overwhelmingly in these podcasts, especially nutrition and training ones, I am really trying hard to give you guys the purest definitions, everything you need to know, but in the most concise manner and get rid of all the fluff. And sometimes I exclude things I shouldn't have, or I add things that I didn't need to. So there's going to be some editing mistakes on my part trying to get this stuff in, but I'm a human being, I make mistakes. So that's going to happen. So hopefully I give you guys more information than I give you mistakes. So, but that's life, that's just the way it goes. So we have to put ourselves out there, we have to put ourselves willing to try things that we can make a mistake over. Otherwise, you never try something, you never get out there, you never kind of get your voice heard, you never help people. So if I was so afraid of making a mistake in these podcasts to the point where I just never did these podcasts, then that would have really been a bummer for a lot of people. So I don't know the exact number right now, but I've been doing the podcast for less than a year, and I think it's only been, 6 to 7 months, and we're over 21,000 downloads, which is pretty freaking awesome. So in like half a year, we're at 20,000 downloads. So if I would have been so afraid to make a mistake like I just did there, it would have been 20,000 learning opportunities that people would have missed out on just because I was afraid of one mistake. Obviously, that would not have been a fair trade-off, right? So it's better for me to put myself out there, maybe get a few things wrong, but be able to help people 20,000 times. Okay? So you want to do the same thing yourself as a trainer. And part of putting yourself out there and being able to do so in a positive manner that'll help your career is to put yourself out there with an open mind. Be willing to be criticized. Okay? Constructive criticism is a growth opportunity. When somebody criticizes you, it gives you a chance to think back over what you did or said. See if you could have done it or said it any better. Sometimes you did the best you could. So you just accept that and move on. And maybe they're offended, but hey, that's shit. What are you going to do about that? It's not your problem. So now if you did make a mistake and you feel like you could have done it better, then you can apologize. Maybe that amends some of the offendingness of whatever you did or said. But it's an opportunity for you to learn and improve. That's it. Okay? So the key is, as a trainer, is you have to keep an open mindset. So in order for you to grow and improve as a trainer. So, and the reason why you have to be open mindset for goods and bads. So just like a plant needs sunshine and water, okay, sunshine and rain to grow, we need good and bad criticism. So sometimes we're going to do stuff right. We're going to get praised for it. That's awesome motivation to keep going. Sometimes we're going to get something wrong. We're going to get criticized. That kind of like, that's a hurtful kind of growth. Like we don't really like that. But that's an awesome, awesome opportunity for growth. And often the mistakes I've made have been the lessons that I learned and remembered the most. So sometimes the most meaningful lessons you'll learn are the ones that hurt. But you have to be open to that, okay? So that's the only way you'll improve over time and become a better trainer, is being willing to be open to the sunshine and the rain. So be open to the positive feedback, the motivational stuff where everybody tells you you're doing well, but also be open to where somebody says, hey, I don't know about that, or I don't know if you did this right, or I don't know if we handled this correctly. And you have to be open to that as well. So I see it all the time, overwhelmingly and unfortunately, in this kind of arena, is, and this would be true of any business field, is people being closed-minded. So they stay stuck where they are, they don't adapt with new knowledge, they fall behind, and they wonder why like they're not doing well in business. So I'll see trainers all the time like blaming the culture, today's culture. Like, oh, people don't want to work out hard, that's why, I'm not doing so well as a personal trainer. Bullshit. It's not people's problem, it's your problem. Okay? There are way more people now buying and putting money into their health, their physical health, than ever before. So if you think you're not doing well in business because of people, you're a moron. Okay? It's not the people, it's you. Sometimes people blame the economy. So I remember I opened the gym in 2011 when it was supposed to be a bad time to open a business. I don't know. I don't give a shit. So I wanted to open a business, and I wanted to open it, so I just opened it. And what do you know? It went fine. So knock on wood, and there were some hard times. But they would have been hard times for any business, not just for the time of the economy. So you can't blame, society. You can't blame culture. You can't blame economy. You can't blame anyone else. No one else is holding you back but you. Okay? You're the problem if you're having a problem. And the key and the important part is accepting that. Because if you are the problem, you can change. And you can correct the problem. If society is the problem, you're screwed. Because you can't change society. If today's culture is the problem, you're screwed because you can't change today's culture. So if you take blame, if you take fault, you now take control. And you can make the changes needed to make sure you can grow. So I see trainers all the time, I get people messaging me about business, like, oh, I want to open a gym, but, it seems like people don't want to work out anymore these days. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. There's gyms everywhere. So just in Little Rock Hill, like we have a Planet Fitness next door to us. We share a wall with a Planet Fitness. There's a Gold's Gym, LA Fitness. There's Burn Boot Camp. I think there's 2 or 3 CrossFits. There's that boxing 9 rounds. There's probably other ones. I have no clue. I don't look around too much. But there's a ton of gyms just in this one little area. So it's not that the business isn't out there. It's that you're not kind of molding and changing with the times. You're not growing to what is required for your business to grow. Okay? So you're the problem. Okay. Now some people aren't going to like that. But again, it's a positive thing for you to accept and believe that you are the problem because you have control over you. So therefore you have control over the problem. Okay? So you have to be open to change. And also you have to be real about what you know. That's another mistake people make all the time as trainers, is being closed-minded and saying, oh, I know this is true. Well, do you? Just because you read it in an article? Just because you did it and it worked for you, that doesn't mean it's going to work for other people. You have to apply it to other people. You have to get repetitive success for it to be quote-unquote knowledge and something that you quote-unquote know. So we all have the analogy, and I've talked about this before, is like you might look to the strongest guy in the gym and say, I'm going to get him to be my coach because he's real strong. Well, maybe he doesn't know how to make you strong. Who else has he made strong? Maybe they were just genetic freak. So I've met people in my life who the first time they've ever deadlifted, they've lifted over 500 pounds. I know a guy that deadlifted 600 the first time he ever deadlifted. That's bonkers. So I deadlifted 135 and probably looked like I had a rounded back and like I was about to die. So for me to fathom the first time I ever picked up a deadlift being 500 pounds is just absolutely insane. Now, can the strongest person in your gym be the best coach in your gym? Sure, absolutely can be. But just because they are strong doesn't mean they are a good strength coach. Just because somebody has big muscles doesn't mean they can tell you how to have big muscles. Just because somebody's lean and has abs doesn't mean they can tell you how to be lean and have abs. So I see that all the time on Instagram is, so-and-so selling a program for a big butt. They've never not had a big butt. They were just born with a big butt. Or so-and-so selling, 6 weeks to six-pack abs, and they've never not had abs. So how the hell do they know that shit works? So unless they have a client base that they have experimented with, they've applied the information, they've gotten repetitive results. So predictable repetitive results, that's when something becomes knowledge. Okay? So just because you read something in an article doesn't mean that you should think of it as truth. It means that you should think of it as a viewpoint. It's an option. You then have to apply that option, analyze that option, and see what results you got. You have to do that cycle after cycle, person after person, and then it becomes knowledge. Okay? So be very true of what you know. So you only know something if you've been able to repeat it over and over again. Okay? So you have to be open-minded. You have to be open to being proven wrong. You have to be open to new ideas that might prove what you know today is wrong. And you have to be honest about what you know. If you're just starting out as a trainer, you're not going to know much. And that's just the truth of it, okay? So you have to experiment with yourself. You have to start experimenting with a friend or a family member. Then all of a sudden maybe somebody else kind of is interested. They see a little bit of results you're getting. And then all of a sudden you get them to join up and maybe they're the first person that actually pays you. So now you're a paid personal trainer. You try to crush results for them. They tell a friend or two then comes, and then that's how it grows. So don't try to be above yourself. I remember when I first started training other people, I trained my good friends from high school, and I would just say, hey, I read an article in a magazine, I want to try this workout. I didn't say, hey, I know a good workout for arms, or hey, I know a good workout for chest. I would just say, hey, I read this, let's give it a try. We tried a ton of stuff that didn't work, and then we tried stuff that did work. And I just kept the stuff that did work and built a library of knowledge out of that. So that's the idea, okay? Be open-minded, read information, be open to new information. Then apply that information, analyze the results you got. Do that cycle after cycle, person after person, and then it becomes knowledge. Okay? So you have to constantly test and retest. Put thoughts into experimental action. Be open-minded to all answers and all possibilities, even if it proves you wrong. So again, there's that quote, something that you believe true today will be proven wrong tomorrow. Absolutely happens. I can look back every 6 months in my personal training career, and there's something slightly different every 6 months that I'm learning or applying or doing something new. Okay? So it's better to have been wrong, but now right, than to have been wrong and stayed wrong out of spite. So that's not a quote, but it rhymes and it sounds cool. So just be open-minded to things. Be truthful with what you know. So again, don't say that something is fact if you don't actually know if it's fact. Just say that, hey, I read this in an article, or hey, I saw this in a video. Don't say, hey, I know this will work. You don't know yet unless you've experimented it, unless you've gotten the results over and over again. Okay, so be open-minded. Then it's okay to be wrong. So like I said, I'm still getting stuff wrong every damn day. So because I'm open to trying new things, I'm open to improving my knowledge, I'm open to learning. So part of learning is learning what's right and what's wrong. So be open to learning, be open-minded, okay, to new information. Cool. So if you like this information, you can find more from us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Brutal Iron Gym. Also, if you like the podcast, please share it with family and friends. So the more people we help, the happier the world will be. And if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, we would love to hear from you. So the podcast is for you, so we want to know what you want to learn about. And you can reach us at our email at brutaliron@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.